Who beat you here today, huh?
I'm the new year.
I walked out like this here. I heard you talk to somebody. I walked because I said to myself, watch I have to go upstairs and at 6:25, they be still on. Because I've had people and them get at 6:30. I've got to report at 7 for whatever reason. And this thing starts, so you know. That's why I tell people 6. I figure 6 between 6 and 6:15 because if he has to do any mechanical stuff, we can work it out. That's like the people do Zoom. I try to get them on earlier because if something goes wrong, we can kind of work it out. Now the one time we didn't, we had Kevin on, there was a thunderstorm that knocked all the lights out, so I just didn't shut it. The thunderstorm knocked all the power out. So there was no problem.
Nice.
We kept going for like 15 minutes after I said we did it. Blackout. Blackout.
I'll try to be more super time in 2025.
Alright, I'm ready to go whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
He's got a chocolate from
Welcome to Did You Know? Podcast, your host, Richard Utley, dedicated to the African American viewers. The program is aimed to celebrate African American culture and deal with the real and relevant topics that impact the everyday lives of the African American community through frank and insightful dialogue with local and national influencers. Every day, there is another horrible, discouraging news story, directly or indirectly, impacting African Americans. But we need to look at the shining stars in the galaxy of Black America. It is time to tell our story.
Hello, and welcome to another Did You Know? Well, we're in another year here, 2025. You know, we got our work cut out this year. We got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. One of the first things we got to talk about is elections. I've told all of you, I hope that a lot of you have conversations with your family and different people to talk about maybe you running for office. As I've shared with all of you, it's time for us to step up to the plate and do our own job. So I say that we need to look at people running for public office. If you have concerns about the school board, then you ought to run for school board. If you have concerns about district justice, then you should run. If you have concerns about whatever, municipalities or townships, it's time for you to step up to run. And so I hope that all of you are thinking about it because it's very important. And I'm going to keep emphasizing this all the time. Politics is local. And right now we're going to have to be local because we got a couple hiccups as far as nationally is concerned. But we need to care about local. We need to care about Pennsylvania. We need to keep our eyes on what's going on in Harrisburg. We need to keep our eyes on what the House and the Senate's doing. We need to keep our eyes on what the governor's doing. We need to keep our eyes on the mayors. We need to keep our eyes on council, borough council, city council, township supervisors. It's now time for us to keep our eyes on those things and run people who we feel is going to be beneficial to us. As I've said to you before, if we don't look out for ourselves, then shame on us. So I'm going to keep promoting this. So you got some time here, but you need to work on it. You know, around February 18th is around the first day to circulate petitions. So what you need to do, talk to people about running, get some information on it, find out what you got to do to run. And you got to make sure you get those petitions and find out how many you need and make sure that you get that number. So hypothetically, if it says get 100, you better get 300 or 400. If it tells you to get 500, you better get 800. Tell you to get 1,000, you better get 15. Why did I say that? Because people can challenge your petition. So do it right, and if you do it right up front, you'll be okay. So what would I suggest you do? You can go down to the courthouse. you can go down and you can Google the Department of State, and you can Google or go to Department of State or whatever and find out what you're running for and what is the requirements. Too often we say we want to do this and we want to run and we want to do this, but we don't look at the requirements. And I've seen so many people who wanted to run for office but didn't follow the instructions. They tell you to have 100, so you go get 100, and 10 of them is bad, so guess what? You only got 90, so they kick you off the ballot. And a lot of you get very upset when people challenge the ballot, but rules is rules, and everybody's trying to find that angle. So if you do it right from the very beginning, you will have no problem. If you need a treasurer, you need to start talking to people that you can trust, that they can be your treasurer. You need to form committees if you want to collect money. You got to find out what you have to do if you want to do flyers, if you want to do all kinds of campaign stuff. There's rules out there. So now this is the time for you to step up to the plate and run for public office. There's so many of you out there that could bring so much to the table politically. And it's time for you to get off the sidelines and get up there and do what we need to do. I think that's very important. That's number one. You know, the other thing that's been bothering me and that's been troubling me is this DEI, diversity, equality, inclusion. And as you know, a lot of these companies have decided that they're no longer going to have those departments. They've decided they're not going to go out like they used to. But let me explain something to you. We need to step up to the plate. For those who want to continue to still do it, we need to support them. I get tired of hearing saying, well, they're going to get rid of it and they're going to get rid of it. But they don't care if they get rid of it because they think you don't care and you ain't going to do nothing about it. I keep telling you, we have to start rewarding our friends and punishing our enemies. And if we don't do it, then shame on us. So go back and start looking at all these companies that are saying, well, we decide we don't want to do this. So why did they do it in the beginning? They should have been doing it in the beginning because it was the right thing to do. And I am sick and tired of hearing that it was reverse discrimination. It was not reverse discrimination. We've only been trying to make the playing field equal. That's all we've always tried to do. So don't nobody tell me about affirmative action. Don't nobody tell me about it ain't unfair. Nobody wants to hire somebody that's not qualified. And I resent people who try to imply that. Because yes, there are some people that were hired that was not qualified. But guess what? It goes on both sides. So I'm very passionate about that tonight because every day I turn around, I keep reading it. We're going to make it slower. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to do that. So when they tell you that, what is that telling you about you? I'm going to tell you what it's telling about you. It's telling you that we're going to have to start working together, supporting one another, support black businesses, support those people who support us. You know, you do have money and you do have a voice. And we have allowed people for so long to take us for granted. And we never step up to the plate for that. So I'm going to keep saying it because that's my passion here tonight. I am so upset. I keep hearing it. Well, we're going to do this here. We're going to do this. Woke, 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 woke. What is woke, 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 woke? Well, those who support us, we need to support them. Because you did realize something in this election, and you need to realize something else. Money talks. Money talks. If you look at this election, you will find money talked. If you want to support businesses that support us, have an interest in us, then we need to support them and stop having people take us for granted. Well, before I start my show tonight, you know, I told you that one of the things I was going to continue to do is history. We're going to have to do our own history. We're going to have to teach our own people history. Not only teach us history, but we're going to have to teach the masters history. Because everybody just seems like they just don't know anything about us. And sometimes it really troubles me We don't know too much about ourselves. So I'm going to throw some things out there tonight before I bring my guest on to make you think about or do research. Do research. Let's take Pennsylvania. When was Lincoln University in Oxford, Pennsylvania founded? Some of you, look it up. Find out what's Lincoln University. Find out where it is. Find out. So some of you, I can tell you this much. Try 1854, something of that nature, okay? Do your research. I want you to find out about the Emancipation Proclamation becoming law. Half of you don't even know what the Emancipation Proclamation is, but you should know what it is. Okay? I'm going to throw some names out there, some things I want you to do research on, because I think it's very important. You know, Prince Hall. A lot of you hear about it. You see people talk about the Masons or the Masonic. So find out who they are. Find out what it's about. You know, I was watching a movie the other night, 6888. It was on Netflix. Now, what was that about? It was about U.S. Army 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion in World War II. And I've heard 15 people say, I never heard of it. I didn't know they existed. I keep telling you, there's so many things that black folks did in World War II that you don't know. There's things you don't know they did in World War I. There's probably things you don't know in the Revolutionary War. There's things you probably don't know what they did. But we have to do our research and we have to teach. And if we don't teach our young people, then it's shame on us. We have an obligation to teach. All of us. Grandma, grandfather, uncles, aunts. There's so much history out there that we don't talk about. And I think it leaves a void. And so I'm going to continue to preach and give a history course every time I have this program. And that's what makes me think about some stuff. Who is George Washington Carver? Who is he? Who is Richard Pearson? He's a person that just died. Well, who is he? Look it up. Find out who this man was. Why do I tell you to look it up? Because he's not only relevant, but he's current. And there was a CEO. And you need to know that he was a CEO. And the reason why you need to he was a CEO, because if he was a CEO, so can you. And I'll leave you with this before I bring my female president executives across the world, like presidents. The world had 14, has 14. There's other high-powered women in government. But you look at America, we got 0. That's all we got. We got 0. Well, I'm going to say this. It's a new year. There's no excuses for us because we know what we got to do. The bar has been set for us and the line has been drawn in the sand. And if we blow it, it's on us. And if we sit here and just keep waiting on somebody, with my favorite line in this program, if we keep waiting on somebody to ride their horse into our community and save us, you're greatly mistaken. We have to step up to the plate and do for ourselves. We got to like to work together. I don't really think we have a choice but to work together. I really don't. We got to work with older people, young people. We got to pull together. We're a very proud people. And we need to start thinking that way, acting that way, and supporting one another. I know all the stories we've all heard why we can't, why we haven't. And okay, we have it and we can't. But we don't have a choice now. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a choice but to get ourselves together and look out for our interests. And people my age, we have a responsibility to reach back and pull those back to pull them up to where we were. every last one of us, we had somebody that looked out for us some kind of way. Grandma, grandfather, neighbor, teacher, who could have been somebody. Every one of us has had somebody in our life that has been a positive role model, have been a beacon. We all have. And just think, we were lucky and we were all fortunate, whether we listened to them or whether we did what was expected. But there was somebody for us, and it's our job to be for somebody else. Well, what is my program tonight? Well, it's a new year, and I'm going to keep bringing positive people on. And you know, I had this young man on my program some time ago, Paris Taylor. You know, he's a guy that's doing design work and all of that. And why did I bring him back on? I brought him back on because he had a vision, he had a dream, and a passion, and he keeps moving on. He's had setbacks. We all had setbacks or whatever, but you start back up, and he's never been a quitter. And one of the things on this program that I've always thought that was important is Did You Know? And that is, I wanted to bring people on that's been through things or things we go through ourselves. And I brought him back on because he's not a quitter. And the reason I say he's not a quitter, but the other issue is that he's a fighter. And so we all have ups and downs, but you got to keep focused on what you're doing. So I'm going to bring Paris on. Paris, would you please tell my audience, because some people have never seen you before. Some people have never heard of you before. So I'd like them just to know kind of, sort of, who you are, and then we're going to get to the really gritty stuff.
Most definitely. My name is Paris Rafeal Williams. Born and raised from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm the local tailor and fashion designer. Should I tell them where my store is at?
I want you to tell the story here. Yeah, they don't know. You tell the story.
I have a store at 25 North 4th Street, Harrisburg, PA, downtown across from Strawberry Square. I've been at this for at least like 13 years now. I'm self-taught completely. I did things like bluff my way into certain jobs, design jobs. I've even had times where I didn't even have enough money for fabric, so I had to use curtains for clothing, specifically for Atlanta Fashion Week, like almost 6-7 years ago. They still don't know. They love the clothes. And I don't know, my story is a story of perseverance. I'm a family man. I have children. I'm just like everyone else. It's just that I chose to take a goal and fully pursue it. And now, after 12 years, I got into New York Fashion Week, the Bureau. Then a week later, I got a call, so I'm in Miami Fashion Week, and that's what I'm gearing up for right now.
Okay, you're gearing up for those things, but I think what's important before we're going to talk about New York and we're going to talk about Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I want to do before then is I want you to tell the people how some of it has been a labor of love, but at the same time, the good, the bad, and the indifferent about it.
You said it's been a labor of love. It's my passion, which I never knew I would find. And I'm thankful to God that He put a passion out here for me to find. The good, the bad, and the ugly, I was just saying that to a friend today. I'm starting to get a lot of traction, sales, meeting people, commercials, and this and that. And a lot of people are like, look at you, you're so successful. And I don't know, like you said, they kind of look at it like they don't know what's behind the scenes, but they're not meant to know at all times. But for the people that do want to know and do want to pursue something, you just got to know when you have a goal, it's not for your mom, your dad, your children, your spouse, or whoever it is. It has to be just for you. Like, you have to live in this life, and this is your body, and you deserve to have something strictly for yourself. And like this passion, I don't know, it's got me through a lot. Like I said, there were times where I had stores that closed. there were times where I had to put down my dream for almost 2 years and I thought it was dead. Because if you know what I mean, if you're in the NFL and you take 2 years off, that's 2 years you don't get, if anything else. And I really thought my dream was done, but I thank God for my perseverance and the fact that he really made me gifted. And I don't know, you know what I mean? I just put my time and dedication into it, focused even harder, and now I'm on the cusp of an opportunity that could really change my life forever.
Well, we're going to get into a lot tonight because I've read some comments already, and we're going to eventually put your website up, and you brought some clothes here to show. But where did your creativity come from?
I don't know if it's me being an Aquarius, but I've always been a natural creative. From the time I was a kid, I used to draw. I was ADD in school. Didn't want to pay attention, so I used to draw all day. Like, literally, if you know me in high school, most people know me for drawing. And I never forget, I was working at a job at PennDOT like 14 years ago. And this lady comes out to me and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I can't do this for the next 30 years and then go retire and go off into the pasture." And she's like, "We're getting paid well." I said, "I know, but I just can't do this every day for the next 30 years. And she told me, she said, "Go find what you could do every day, whether or not you were paid for it." She said, "Once you found that, you found your passion." So my first thought was art. I love to draw. And but then I thought, man, people that draw don't make money until they die. You know what I mean? Because artists, they're never really famous, or you never see an artist paint a Basquiat and be in a Lamborghini. Nah. Basquiat stuff sold when he died, and everybody else stuff sold when they died. So I wanted to do an instantaneous form of art that I could make a living off of and also get to enjoy people. Then I thought of necessities. So if you're going to sell something or start a business, clothing, food, transportation. So clothing is a necessity. So I'm just taking a necessity and adding an artistic spin to it.
So, okay, so you were driving, so you would say your creativity was there, but what kind of things did you do to help you with your creativity? I mean, if you're a designer, what made you become a designer? If you're a sewer, how did you become a sewer? I mean, those are the things that I like my audience to hear. And the reason why I like my audience to hear it, because a lot of it was your perseverance that you did on your own.
Very true.
So if you tell my audience that, maybe there's somebody out there who says, you know what, I kind of want to be like him.
If the best advice in that, you got to start somewhere. I'll never forget the day I decided I wanted to sew. God put that dream in my head so hard, and this was like 15 years ago, that I couldn't even sleep that night. And I literally stayed up, and I went to Joanne Fabrics. I bought the smallest sewing machine you ever seen in your life. It was like, I don't even know the size of it. It was so tiny, like the size of a brick. And I literally sat there and taught myself the mechanics on how to use a sewing machine with just YouTube and myself. And then I literally went to the thrift store, I bought a shirt, and I took it apart seam by seam. And I looked at the pieces and it kind of made sense to me. So then I used those pieces and I made my first piece. And the first piece I made wasn't like amazing, but it was more like when I finished it, I thought, I can get better at this and be dangerous. So at that point in time, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start this in the next 5 years. I'm going to be there in the next 3 years, or in the next year. They think, like, I knew at that point in time I had years of learning ahead of me, but I had to start somewhere. I'll never forget when I was darn near homeless, and shout out my friend Sean. We were living together. He let me live with him, and it was a little room with only a blow-up bed, and I literally had to deflate my blow-up bed and set up my sewing table and sew. Then put my sewing table away and inflate my bed. And I'll never forget one prayer I said at that time. I said, God, I know I'm not where I need to be right now, and I'm not ready to sell. But if you could just please see my hunger, and that I will learn one day, I would like to make money. Then I made a promise with God, like, hey, before I'm 35, if I don't start making money off of this by the time I'm 35, I'll go settle down and get a regular job. Well, I went hard, and I think I was 32, my 32nd birthday. Yeah, that's when I did the pop-up in Atlanta, and I met Benny the Butcher. I do business with him. Shout out City Boy. And the craziest part is, even after that, you would think after you met like your favorite celebrity, because I met a bunch of them, you would think you're on, and that's not the case. It takes more work. Like, I don't know, the way they make success seem to us is like you do this, you do that, you meet somebody and you're there. That is not the case. And the only reason I succeeded, I believe, is this: I kept going where 95% of the people would turn back.
You were saying something about, I remember you elaborating on before when I had you on the program about, just tell that story real quickly how you went down to Atlanta.
Oh,
I think that's important because I think it balances out.
this was around COVID, and I was working for someone, and I don't think he really knew I did clothes like that. He tried to assist me, but he had said to me one day, he was like, you need to stop talking about it. If it's just a hobby, you got to treat it like that. And that kind of like sparked the fire within me. So I went home, and this is around COVID when people needed masks. I made $10,000 off of making masks from scrap fabric because people couldn't leave the house. And then, I don't know, God spoke to me. I prayed on it. Like, I was really going through things, and I prayed on it. And I the only way I can explain it is like some movie stuff. God said, I was sitting in my house on a Tuesday night. I never forget, because my homie Chance was there. Shout out Chance. And Chris Myers, C. Winnie Myers. They were both there with me. And like, we were just chilling, and I was just making clothes. And in the middle of nowhere, God popped in my head. He said, go. I literally said, go where? I know it sounds crazy, but this really happened. And he said, go where? And he said, to Atlanta. And I'm saying this all in my head. I was like, I haven't spoken to anybody yet. And God said, I've equipped you with the tools to go. You don't need to speak to anybody. You need to go. And like, most time you tell anybody you hear that, they're going to put you in a mental institution. So I kept a little to myself, but I was still sitting there, and it hit me like, God said, and he said, go. He said, go. Do you trust me? I've equipped you with the tools, go. And so at that moment, I said to my homie Chance and them, Chris, are you good? I was like, I'm going to Atlanta on Thursday. And they were just like, what? We were sitting there chilling. So they were like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm going. They was like, you didn't speak to anybody. I was like, I know. God told me to go. I'm going to go. And they were like, yo, you tripping, man? I'm like, listen, I'm going to go. And my money had got tight at that point, too. So I didn't even have the most. But the funniest thing in the world happened is Thursday morning, that night, Chris left immediately. I'm like, where are you going? He was like, I'm going to go spend some time with my kids and my wife. I'm like, why? He's like, because I'm going with you. You got that look in your eye. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then Chance, like, it was funny, that morning, Thursday, Chance called me like, come on, fool, I'm leaving with you. So two of my friends literally know I just hopped in the car for prayer. But they could feel, you know what I mean, my determination and my energy so much that they wanted to hop in the car literally to see. They could tell in my words I was not playing around. But we went out there. First 2 nights moved around. Third night I met one of my mentors. Now he's my mentor, but I looked up to him. His name was Exclusive Game. He runs Exclusive Game. His name is T. He runs Exclusive Game in Atlanta. And like, I've been waiting to meet this man for the longest. And like, it was funny. I laid out all these pieces in front of him. He was like, I don't like none of that, but I like the one you got on your back. So I gave him the one off my back. And I was a little upset because I've been waiting to see this man. And he said he didn't like it. But the funniest thing happened right after that, because it's right in the front of his store. And he says, I don't like this stuff. And then these group of guys walk in. And as soon as they walk in, they're like, yo, what's this? How much is this? And they're picking up my clothes. And he's like, put that down. He's not for sale in here. Yeah, it's not for sale in here. And so then I left. But I was a little upset that he said he didn't like my stuff that much. And I was already there for 3 days. And I was a little confused because I'm like, God, you told me to come here. And now I wasted this money I didn't have. Things are getting tight. I'm not meeting the people I need to, and I was just devastated. And I'm not gonna lie, this really freaking happened. So the next morning is Sunday morning, and I wake up, and Chance was in the room. Chris had already went home, and I was just devastated that things weren't working out the way I wanted them to, and I was ready to bawl my eyes out. But I kind of fell apart the night before in front of him, and I didn't want to break his spirit again. So I woke up early and I hopped in my car to go leave so I could go cry in my car. I'm not even capping. I just wanted to drive around Atlanta and cry my eyes out. I didn't know what was going on. But it was weird. The gate to get out the hotel wouldn't work. And this guy comes up and he's a light-skinned dude, look well capped. And I'm looking at him like, what's going on? And he's like, and the first thing he asked me before he says another word, he says, are you famous? And I go, no, I'm just nobody. He's like, all right, well, let me fix this thing so I can get it out. And he starts asking me questions. I'm like, I'm here, and I'm just trying to hurry up and get through this gate so I can go cry. I'm holding back my tears, and he keeps saying, like, yeah, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm trying to sell clothes to the Come to find out, this guy, he actually had money. He just came back in the States and likes to do little odds and end jobs. He writes for the New York Times. He showed me the articles and stuff. And I was like, I'm trying to sell my clothes and do this. And I was just trying to hold my tears back. He's like, listen, you don't need them. He was like, do you notice I asked you when I first met you, are you famous? And he's like, I really meant that. And he was like, you don't need these people. You need to believe in yourself. I'm like, whatever. And I drive off, and I literally drive off, and I'm crying. I'm by the Walmart crying. I pull over to this gas station, and I call my dad. And then my dad, I was keeping my cool, and I was a little upset. And my dad prayed for me real quick. And then I had called my wife at the time, and I was like, yo, I'm going through it, life is going home. But I had sent a package to one of these rappers. His name was Fujiano. He was popping back then. He was coming up. And she was like, well, the package came back returned, and it said return from sender or whatever, not wanted or whatever. So I hung up from her. She sent me a picture. I bawled my eyes out again. I went back to my hotel room. I sent a text to the rapper, to his manager, like, look, y'all return my package. I'm here in Atlanta. Y'all acting like I'm trying to scam you or something, but y'all return my package. And I went back to my hotel, and just so I was devastated from crying, I went to sleep, and it was like 12 in the morning. I mean, like 11 a.m. I woke up at 1, and as soon as I look on my phone, the actual rapper had texted me himself, his address. And I look at Chance, I'm like, should I call him? He's like, fool, get in the car, let's go. And sure enough, we drove up to a double house gated community with a mansion and a pool and everything. And by the end of that day, they gave us a room in their mansion, and I made clothes throughout the entire night. And so that was dope. I got to meet up with him. He was signed to Gucci Mane back then. It was really, really fun. I didn't make enough, but I made just enough to cover my butt. And on the way home, I get a call from T from Exclusive Game. All the employees there like my stuff so much that they got him to offer me a pop-up. And it's very exclusive. He only lets like 2 or 3 people do a pop-up out of there a year. And he offered me to pop up. So I came back to Harrisburg. I did 3 pop-up shops here to get all the money. And then I went back. And I was broke. I had just enough money to pay for the hotel. He made me pay him a whole $1,500. And my birthday was the next day. The morning of the pop-up, I only had $16 in my pocket. I was literally in Atlanta with only $16 in my pocket. And I was upset because I had spent all this money to get there. And like I told you, it was a part of the dream that God told me to. And then I go do the pop-up. And for the first 2 hours, it seemed like nobody would touch my clothes. It seemed like they were purposely stepping away from it. And I just started losing it because all my money, I go outside, I call my mom. And I'm like, Mom, nobody's touching my clothes. I only got $16 in my name. I don't know what's going on. I try my hardest. It's supposed to happen. She goes, you never trust God in the gray area. And she's like, you need to start trusting God in the gray area. She's like, he always takes care of you at the end. And he always takes care of you in the beginning. She's like, in the middle, you always lose faith. She's like, you need to go show God that you're grateful and trust him. I literally went back in, and I swear this happened in 30 seconds. I can't even explain how it happened. I go back, I sit down, and I'm about to take a picture and make a post on Instagram like things were going great, but they really weren't. And then the girl I had, shout out Misha, she was my manager back then, and she tapped my leg, and I'm like, leave me alone. And then she taps my leg again, and I look over, and her mouth is wide open. I go, why is your mouth? And I look up, and Benny the Butcher is holding my clothes. The #1 rapper in America at that time. He dropped Legend. He just dropped Proof of Burden, and he was really on the come up with Griselda. And I listen to his music every day. And like right after my mom tells me to pray and sit down, less than 30 seconds later, this man is in front of me holding my clothes. Like blew my mind. Like I couldn't even speak. The girl had to speak for me. She was like, he listens to your music every day. He loves your stuff. I told him where I was from. I'll have to get in that later on. It was crazy. I told him where I was from. He took 2 jackets, bought 2 jackets. I gave him a 3rd one. I get back. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Before nobody would touch my clothes, it seemed like Benny the Butcher's touch broke the gates wide open. By the end of that night, I had made $6,600. Yeah, I sold everything I had, but the racks. And then I came back home, and then 2 weeks later, my cousin called me. He's like, "Benny's in your stuff." I said, "I know, man. He's in Atlanta." He said, "No, go on YouTube." Benny had wore my jacket to his album release party for me to plug to.
Good.
And I'm still in business with them today. And again, you would think after that, I'm on. It wasn't. I still had to come back, open my store here, do the independent work, you know what I mean? Still deal with my family, my children, and everything that's going on, and still move forward.
So now you have the opportunity. You're going to be going to New York City for Fashion Week,
Yes.
and you're going to be going to Miami for Fashion Week.
Yep.
But before we get into those things, I think let people know. I'm getting some comments here. They're asking, do you have a website? You want to tell them about your website?
Oh, for sure.
There's another question I have. Do you design for men or do you design for women? So could you please tell my audience that? Because
Most definitely. I design for predominantly men, but I do women. My old director told me I got to get out of my comfort zone. And somebody must have told women to talk to me differently, because these other ladies been coming in there and they're like, "Yo, I want you to do these clothes." And I'm like, there's a lady store and the other stuff. They was like, "I was told you would say that." And I was told to say, "No, I want you to make it." So I made a few pieces, but I really love making men's clothes. But if women come in the design and I love the design, if I love the art, I'm going to put my passion to it. So yes, I do ladies. Just come have a dope design that we can create. Men's, any size, all the way up to like 6X. I do. I do have a website. It is lundunparis.com, LUNDUN Paris.com. And right now, like I said, I'm in.
we have your
noise.
some of your stuff.
Yeah, some of the pictures up there.
Yeah, we are.
That Eagles jacket, or the Eagles art. That one I really like. Recently just made. I make custom team jackets with the customer's name specifically on there. So that's going pretty well right now.
We can show some of your other stuff here.
Most definitely.
You want?
All the work.
We'll go real slow here. We'll go real slow here for
All
you.
the pieces you see are all custom, one-offs. There are a few pieces that I'll remake, like that green jacket. But most of the stuff I make, I do not remake. And once I make it, I autograph it. You have a piece of art. What I'm selling is really art. And I'm just honored right now. Yeah, those are one of my favorite. That one with the Sherpa collar, the blue one. Right now, I got the opportunity of a lifetime. People don't know I've been applying to New York Fashion Week for over 9 years, even before I was ready. I just wanted to apply, even when I was on the up and coming and trying. And over the past few years, things have gotten closer. Like, sometimes you didn't get a denial. Then I at least got a denial. Then I at least got, we'll get back with you. And then a denial. Then I got we'll get back with you. Let's check some. Then another denial. So it's like, it's a little bit. And then this year I was blessed. Shout out my man Maverick. He came into my store and I just did the website, but I didn't like it. But I didn't know he ran a professional website company. And he went ahead and just did it for me. Like, literally did it overnight. And when I went to apply for these shows, I can show my work, but it depends on how you show it, if it looks good. And I knew something was up because I didn't even look at the website at first when he did it. But they started asking for the website, and then they would call me immediately. And they're like, "We want you." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So some of these you have to pay to just apply for. Then once you apply, you have to pay to get in. So the first one in New York, I think that comes out to $5,200, and then the other one for Miami, that's around $5,500. So I'm halfway to my budget for New York. I'm actually crowdfunding right now. I have a GoFundMe. It's definitely on my Facebook page, Paris Rafeal Williams. You can check out the GoFundMe and donate, or you can just purchase a bunch of clothes and I'll make you some drip. Or you're more than welcome to stop by my store, 25 North 4th Street, Harrisburg, PA. There are people there during the day. I usually get there every day around 4 p.m. But I definitely am looking for funding, I'll call it a little push. I know for a fact, once I get to this establishment and present my skill and what I bring to the table, I can't imagine what's going to come after that. So if I made it this far through all this struggle, I'm going to make it to these fashion events.
I mean, you have done those things. Matter of fact, you did a design for me as well. I don't know if I think we may have it on there.
Yeah, it should be on the website.
It's on the website. A lot of you may not know, I'm a big component of Blacks that served in World War II, and I have done a magazine on Blacks that served in World War II, and I have gone out and given talks on Blacks that served in World War II because I've always thought it was very important to tell our story. I'm a big storyteller, and I believe that. And what happened was, him and I got together, and he created a jacket for World War II. And the jacket has patches on it. We're trying to find it here. The jacket has patches on it, but the patches are very different because most people are only used to the Tuskegee Airman patch.
Might be on my Facebook. It's
So-
on my Instagram.
So we have the Tuskegee Airman patch, but we also have the Black Panthers. And a lot of you don't even know who the Black Panthers are. It was a tank battalion that helped Patton. You probably didn't know that. You probably don't know about the Red Ball Express. There's a number of military things that we did in World War II that nobody doesn't know about. Just like I said, all of a sudden everybody watched this Netflix and said they didn't know it. So there it is. There you have it there. There is that's the jacket that he has created,
Ooh, I love it,
and he has, as you see, the Black Panthers on there. There's a number of patches on there, and there's words on there that tell the story. Our legend, we sacrificed, we served. So he created these jackets, and I can tell you, I have one.
Yeah.
And there's one, we preserve our courage, knew no boundaries.
I love that.
Well, I think that's very important. So you can go down there and you can get the jackets from him. I have a jacket. I have a couple other people that have already purchased the jackets. And so him and I did a joint thing in terms of telling our story. And I had faith in
That's my
him,
favorite.
and I had belief in him, and that's one of the jackets there. So not only I brought him on the program, but at the same time, I did a partnership with him with the jackets.
For sure.
And that's what it's about, ladies and
Thank you for
gentlemen.
that. Thank you for that.
To step up and to help people. But it also did what I wanted it to do, and I wanted it to tell a story. So please go on down there and support him. And you can buy some things from him to help him get to where he needs to go.
For sure.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of people out here, and I would hope that you can go meet with him. Some of you can also get some custom-made jackets done.
For sure.
You can meet him, and he will help design a jacket for you or clothing for you.
For sure.
Because I think that's important. Ladies and gentlemen, my real issue is that I want you to have dreams. I want you to have hope. I want you to have vision. And so, having hope and dreams and visions, I want you to connect to somebody. And that's why I bring people like this on my program. Because half the time, most of you like football players, basketball players, but you see them on TV, but yet a lot of you have so much other talent. You have so much other talent that you can do what you want to do. You bought some clothes and stuff here too as well.
Most definitely. I just
So,
saw something I made
He
the other day.
made something that he brought in.
I'm showing a sneak peek because I'm not posting anything that I'm showing for Fashion Week. But here's something I just made the other day. I'm still finishing it up. I love the fabric. Like, this noise. I'm going to line it with a Sherpa, so I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. But I made the entire jacket from scratch. My complete design. The black denim, black pockets. I really like this thing. Yeah, I just made it yesterday, actually, to be honest. So,
So how do you come up with your creativity? You start to draw and you just come up with the what you want to do.
Not even. I think God has really blessed me with the artistic mind. I draw just so other people can see, but there's no method to my madness. I was just speaking to a friend about it earlier today. If you see another designer and you see their designs, you can kind of always tell where they're going with their brand and like where they're going next. But if you take a look at mine, every piece is different. Every piece is random, no rhyme or reason. So it's just like whatever I feel like. I don't know. I don't step into it from a design standpoint. I literally wake up. I love my sewing machine. I love cutting fabric. I love just putting things together that you visually like. I can't explain it. It's just like art. It's just art. When I made this jacket, I literally reached down and started making the entire jacket out of the this fabric, the houndstooth fabric. But then I wanted to break it up, and I did look back and I seen black denim. So I went ahead and put the black denim on the sleeves, and it's just like my creativity can change moment to moment. Like it changes while I'm creating it, you know.
Somebody asked me, because I get questions, do you worry about people stealing your ideas?
No, it's like that's the reason I was saying it's too hard. Like if you can literally take a look at my website, nothing is the same. I'm not in this to really, I can't explain it. I'm putting a line out, but it's more like just art that I'm feeling. If you take a look at the pieces, that's what I'm feeling. And I'm thankful to God because most people have to design what people like. But I'm at a point in my career, most of my customers just come in. They'll either give me a color scheme that they want, or they'll just say make something and they'll figure out how to match with it. People just want a piece of art from me at this point. And yeah, and like that's why, and they really can't copy because I make one-offs for one, and then everything is different. No piece looks like the piece I made yesterday, last year, 4 years ago, and I can't explain it.
That's very true because each jacket, even the World War II jackets, none of them are the same.
They're all different. Yeah, different variations. Yes.
Different variations.
Yeah.
So nobody has the same. You know, I will say this: you also teach sewing, I think.
Almost definitely. I teach sewing lessons out of my store. Currently, right now, also every Wednesday, I teach these boys at this little group home situation, whatever it is. I teach them how to start their own brand, sell to the community, then they come back and bring back the money. I teach them how to pay themselves, and I teach them how to reinvest. And they really got hooked once I explained to them that clothing money is 10 times better than drug money. When you buy and resell, you'll be lucky if you get 35% of your profit back. But when you're making from scratch the way we do, our percentage numbers goes up, especially if you can charge the right price beyond numbers. And the kids took a liking to it, and I used to do it for free for a year. Then times got a little rough, and I had to take a break. And then they called me back and told me because I had started that program, they had got funding, they got a grant. Somebody gave them a grant. And so this time they went back, they bought all the machinery I need, all the tools the kids need, so there's no delay. I go once a week now, but I go twice a week when I can. I literally just got a call from SciTech this morning. I'll be going there to do a seminar or something on a business course. It's kind of weird when people ask me for stuff like that because I feel like I haven't made it yet. And y'all are asking me for business advice, and I didn't get there yet, but I understand why they want me to come speak to the kids at the business class. And then a separate teacher has me coming into his math class. He wants me to explain to the kids how measurements make me money. And like if I had a celebrity that I really had to make something for, I had to get the specific measurements. And if I didn't know my measurements, I would mess up the opportunity.
What do you mean by that? You say they don't understand measurements because sometimes people see the final product, but they don't know what you have to
like
go
for
through.
Instance, like say somebody has big shoulders and a small neck. You know what I mean? You and they're a celebrity, and they finally came to you, and this is this person you've been waiting for the longest, your favorite celebrity, and they want you to make a piece, and they're gonna wear it on one of the biggest stages, the Grammys, who knows? And you take the measurements wrong because you don't know your measurements, or you didn't learn properly in school, or you didn't write them down right, or you don't know what 5/8 is, or you don't know what 2/3 is. You really got to learn that stuff because those small, minute changes will make a big difference in the overall garment. And like I said, that could cost me thousands of dollars. Somebody's about to pay you thousands of dollars to wear a garment for one specific event. And some people, they go try it on and they don't get, and like you try it on and it doesn't fit, they don't give you an opportunity to fix it. That's it. It was supposed to fit that one time. So you need to be prepared and you need to be knowledgeable. Money is very important. Measurements are very important. Business conduct, the way you carry yourself and dress is very important. So that's what I'll be teaching at the schools in the coming weeks. And the boys at the program, they're doing so well.
I have a real question to ask you. When you draw the pattern, what do you draw? What do you draw the pattern on? What kind of paper do you draw?
It's pattern paper.
You draw on pattern paper.
Yeah, and they have to realize, no matter what you're doing in life, you're going to always continuously learn. Before I had to buy pre-made patterns and I altered them. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, I decided to take this course on the internet, and I literally watched this course, and now I can make patterns from scratch. Like literally direct. Like before it was based to your measurements, but I would take another pattern and alter it. But now, because I decided to learn something a few weeks ago, direct measurements, straight down, no pattern needed, direct fit.
I commend you on that, because a lot of people don't know this, and you may not know this. My father was a tailor.
Nice.
And my father used to draw measurements and patterns off a brown paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he had back then. We're talking a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
My father was called Nelson the Tailor. He had a cleaners. He worked in a number of places, and so he was a tailor.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to school and he learned how to do it. And so, no pun intended, he tried to get me to do it, but I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have learned, because he told me if I've just learned a few little things, like how to hem pants or something else, that would have helped me.
Yeah.
And Lord, all my friends that I went to college with, I wish I had, because I could have made a lot of money off of you back then.
And that's what I teach the kids too, basic sewing, like hemming, like not only hemming your pants if they're too long, because a lot of kids, they don't understand alterations, and now they think only like court clothing and church clothing is supposed to be altered. No, actually, the people that have money, their everyday clothes are tailored. So it's just it's a learning lesson, but the kids take to it, and that's what I really enjoy teaching the younger kids, especially the young black males, man, because we get a lot of bad rep, and they need to be taught. Like, and when they're taught, they're hungry. I literally went back to that program 2 days out of the week last week, because when I left the one day, every kid didn't get a chance, and they were so hungry, and I didn't want that fire to die out, so I came back the next day.
I think exposure is so important, and that's why it's so important to have these programs, so that we can get exposure. I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there who probably want to be designers. I'm probably male and female. You can stop by the shop, have your parents take you to the shop, so that you can learn those things. Somebody asked me a couple on my thing, who is your favorite designer?
Alexander McQueen.
Okay.
He passed away early on. His early work, if you take a look at Alexander McQueen's early work, it's all black, but don't pay attention to the color, pay attention to the design. And then after he passed away in the early 2000s, they changed it up, but Alexander McQueen, yeah.
During Fashion Week, do you choose your models, or they give you the models there? You have to take somebody with you?
You can bring as many as you like, or you can pick the models from their selection. So like around here, I used to bring a lot of friends and let them model, so the shows are getting a little more serious, so I don't let everybody come. But if I know you're around here and you're pretty decent and you're serious about it, holla at me. I definitely want you to walk for me in New York Fashion Week.
There you go. I mean, there's opportunities. There are opportunities out there. Time is flying. So in the next 3 minutes, 4 minutes, what would you like to leave with my audience?
First and foremost, I just want to thank my city for the support. Harrisburg is love to me. And eventually I got to fly because I want to go and do things. But this place is great. It's great to develop a talent. It's great to just get started and then turn around and take your talent elsewhere. Or use it here. I'm just thankful for the city, thankful for the support. If you want to, definitely donate. I still kind of like 2,200 short right now. So I'm taking donations on the GoFundMe, or just come purchase some drip from my shop. I'd rather make you something very nice.
There you go.
Or angel investors, or any way, shape, or form. But by any means necessary, I will be making it to these fashion weeks.
I'm glad you would, but you brought up a good point. You can go there and you can buy something, or you can have something made. So therefore you can contribute to his trip by having something made. He's not asking you just to give to him. He's saying if you come there and you have something made. He has all kinds of things in that shop.
For sure.
He has hats, t-shirts, he got all kinds of things. And so would you tell him where it is again?
Yes, located at 25 North 4th Street, Harrisburg, PA 17102. Directly next to the shoe guy, Euro. He's been a great man to me. I wouldn't even be here or downtown if it wasn't for him. Directly across the street from Strawberry Square. Even my landlord, he used to own the cheesesteak spot next door, and his son Ben. Great people.
I'm glad, but the key is we got to support. We got to support him, but we got to support a lot of people. So if you're interested in taking the sewing class, if you're interested in having something made, I mean, I will be honest with you, go and talk to him. I mean, as a matter of fact, I will say this before I end this program. I've been in your shop, but guess what? He ain't the only one in there. He got some young people in there. I call you young.
Yeah.
You got some young people in there. They all want to be entrepreneurs. They're all trying to do something else. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have vision, you have hopes, and you have dreams, chase them. Follow your dreams, your hopes, and your passion.
Yes.
Because it's okay. Life has ups and life has downs. It'll be okay. A lot of times you shoot for it. As you shoot for your goal, sometimes step back and take little steps. And if you take little steps and you believe in yourself, guess what? Everything is going to be all right. So I want to thank you for coming on my program.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck to you. And remember our little Harrisburg, and remember all us when you're in New York and when you're in Miami showing your clothes.
Harrisburg forever.
Harrisburg forever. So thank you.
Man. Oh man, we always make magic, don't we? We make magic every time we come together. We want bad duo, my brother.